Sentinel's all-in advisor was built to inform side dress decisions across a range of different nitrogen management strategies. What you're seeing on your screen is Sentinel's all-in advisor. What this tool allows you to do is see forecasted nitrogen rate recommendations across a range of target growth stages. This particular field was planted on May 7th. We have an estimated growth stage of about V5 right now, and this field is getting ready to go into a top dress application. We have a 101 relative maturity hybrid planted on this field, and so far there are only about 5 pounds of nitrogen applied. As this grower heads into a top dress application of urea, what they're wanting to know is what is the appropriate rate to put on the field to get them into their fertigation strategy, which is what's going to follow. This tool is way more versatile than just setting up a side dress for subsequent fertigation. What you can see here is that we have a target growth stage of V7, so this is by default looking to get basically 10 days out ahead of nitrogen needs. Currently, the forecasted conditions are calling for about 22 pounds of nitrogen to be applied on the field. This is higher than really 9 out of the last 10 years would have required, and certainly about double of what 5 out of the last 10 years would have required. In a dry year, we're not going to be asking for much nitrogen, but that's clearly not the conditions that we're forecasting out. And in a wet year, where we're going to have yield potential maybe limited by wet soil conditions early in the year, we're also not going to be calling for a ton of nitrogen. But what we're seeing in the forecast right now are pretty optimal corn growing conditions, and the fact that the crop is going to be needing a lot of nitrogen here over the next 10 days. So the way that this tool is going to be used in this particular top dress application is we're going to be targeting a growth stage of about V10 to get to with the crop before we're able to use imagery to inform fertigation passes from that point on in the growing season. In this case, All-In Advisor is calling for 101 pounds of nitrogen to go on this field to set us up for fertigation beyond that point. If this grower was looking to make it all the way to V12, let's say, and set up for a wide drop application that would be the absolute last application of the season, All-In Advisor would call for 140 pounds to go out with this top press around V5 to make sure that the crop had enough to make it to that V12 growth stage and ultimately set it up to be successful for the rest of the growing season with that wide drop application at V12. For a lot of growers out there, they're going to be making their last application around this V5 growth stage if you're using an in-season application. So if they're looking to make it all the way to crop maturity, they can simply go down here and select R6 as the target growth stage. What this would pull up is the total nitrogen rate that we're recommending from the All-In Advisor tool that the crop will require to reach its optimal outcome. What we see here is that the forecasted nitrogen rate for this field is 219 pounds of nitrogen per acre. Add that onto the 5 pounds of nitrogen per acre that's already been applied, and you're looking at around 225 pounds of nitrogen on this field. This is irrigated corn. There's good yield potential on this field. We're talking 250 to 270 bushel per acre yield potential. But in this case, we're going to be calling for 225 pounds of nitrogen to be applied. And this is integrating all the soil properties, what we know about the crop, how it was planted, and the weather conditions that we're looking at for the rest of the growing season. And if you want to take a look at what those weather conditions might be, you can simply go to the weather tab here and look at our forecasted conditions for the next 14 days, the extended forecast out to about 30 days, and then the seasonal forecast for the rest of the year to look at what are some of the extreme conditions the crop might face, what are we looking at in terms of total precipitation over the course of the growing season, and really how does that align with my expectations for what a growing season typically has in store for us. Based on the rate forecast from All-In Advisor on this field, we're expecting good corn growing conditions that exceed anything that we've seen historically over the last 10 years. So that's what we're setting up for here. That's how the All-In Advisor tool can be used. We'll be checking in with you throughout the year to just show you the different use cases for this tool.